Hey folks, my name is Jürgen, aka Nerd and Proud of It, and Destiny has brought you to my channel today because I'm having a conversation with Mark. Hi Mark.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's good to have a
Yeah,
conversation
it's
with
good
you.
to meet you.
Yeah, definitely. You had a very long day, right? So
Wow, yeah, it was a typical MagicCon, like pretty busy from start to finish.
Yeah, I can imagine. You've seen some of those. You've been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yeah, well, 32. Yeah, it was 92 when we first started working on the Magic card game in December. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's been a long, strange trip.
definitely. I can imagine. And you're still around, and you're still doing the art.
Yeah,
and,
still doing. I'm working on some Magic cards right now. I can't talk about those, of course, but yeah, there's some new ones coming down the road.
That's very interesting because I think you're one of the original 25 Magic the Gathering artists, and you're one of
Yes.
2 or 3 that's still active.
Yes, Mark Poole, myself. There's probably a few others, but
I think 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
But I think looking back at 30 years, that's quite an amazing achievement that this is still so popular because it's crazy. I've seen the booth today. People have been lining up to meet you, to see you, to get autographs. What do
Yeah.
you think is the secret that art like this? I mean, iconic cards, of course, but what's the secret that it still holds up?
that's a bit of a mystery. I mean, there's of course like some things I don't like about like my oldest work, but then again, sometimes I look back and go, oh, that has something that's unexplainable as to why like it's so popular now.
What? Why do you not like some things about your old
Oh,
work? Is it more
just
being critical of yourself?
Yeah, just technically because I was starting out, like it was one of my first jobs as an illustrator, and I wasn't like trained as an illustrator.
No.
It was just sort of a learning process at the beginning. But we did a lot of really interesting stuff at the very beginning. We had to do it very fast.
Yeah.
So sometimes they go, oh, but other times they go, not bad.
Are you trying to revisit that art and maybe take
occasionally.
another take on it, or?
Occasionally, like of course, people ask me to do commissions,
Yes.
and do like reinterpretations of like some old things.
And then you're trying to fixing some of the mistakes I don't see,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you see as the original creator.
Yeah, I
of
mean,
course.
I remember I got to like work on like a redo of Juzam Jen
Yeah.
for a Duelist magazine advertisement, and I was like, going, oh, I want to put some more detail in there. So I
think-
can do this better now. I
Yeah.
can do it.
I mean, your process probably has developed a lot over the last 32 years
Yeah,
then as well.
Well, when I was in school, I was just doing huge oil paintings, and then suddenly I had to do a lot of small work because they had to be this big because the scanner at the office was only that big.
Yeah.
And we had to do them fast, so I thought, oh, well, I'll just use watercolor and some other mediums just as an experiment. And then gradually I sort of shifted towards more opaque mediums like a gouache, which is what I typically use now. Although sometimes I'll do a digital piece just for fun.
A digital piece just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. I mean, looking back in the beginning, I heard from some of your colleagues that you got like a name of the card, and that was about it. And then you just could imagine something for yourself and just could come up with something.
Right.
Is that true?
That's
Is that-
true.
yeah.
Well, I mean, at the very beginning, they didn't know exactly what a Balduvian looked like or a Phyrexian.
Exactly.
It was all written down, but like we didn't necessarily know what it was. So sometimes the interpretations would be unique. But Jesper Meerforce would just give us like the list of the cards on the phone.
Yes.
He would give us the color, but he would just give us the name of the card, and we go, and he'd list off something. I go, oh wait, that sounds good. I'll take that one.
And you probably didn't know what a time twister was, and that
Nope.
it would become so
No.
iconic, or a chaos hop, or a Juzam Chin.
I didn't know that Nevin Rawls' disc was an anagram of Larry Nevin. The author. Like
That's why it's called Larry Nevin's
Yeah,
disc,
yeah.
right, nowadays.
If I had known, I would have done it completely different.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And nowadays, has that process changed? I heard you get pages and pages of instructions of how it should be.
Well,
or do you still have a creative freedom? In
Well,
a certain
it
sense?
depends. Like how much of the storyline is actually in the card. How much of the story they want to express. But otherwise, it can be anywhere from like a long paragraph to like even one sentence. So sometimes I'll get like one that the art director goes, yeah, just make it something that you that you typically would do with an elemental, for example.
But they probably know you have a lot of experience as well, and
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what to do, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but so sometimes it's more of a challenge to do something like that. But if I do one where it's like a full sentence or a paragraph, sometimes it can be very specific, and sometimes it helps. Other times you're like going, oh, that's a lot of stuff to pack into one card. So, yeah, it's a delicate balance.
And totally different compared to the old days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's totally different.
How long does it take you to create a magic card? If you get like an instruction sheet and then you create the card, a couple of weeks, couple of months?
Well, with the first sets, like, we actually had like many months, but we had a lot of cards to do.
I get it.
Typically now, like, I don't do more than 2 to 4 pieces per set. So, I'll request like, cards which are, either more simple or complicated, depending on the card. But the deadlines have shortened somewhat. I think the sketch phase is a little shorter, so we have to come up with an idea a little faster.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I think looking back, and on my channel I talk a lot about the old cards, but you experience this day to day, of course, or maybe very often during these events.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a lot of people or change in the kind of people that come up to you and are looking for signatures? For example, what is the card you sign most? Is it still the Soul Ring, or
yeah? I mean, a lot of like the quote unquote old school cards are still, I see like a ton of them. But otherwise, I do see some more recent ones like the Imperial Seal, of course. Well, it's not that new, but Emrakul is like 15 years old. Although there's a new version of that came out of something that was also 15 years ago. But I don't know. It's a mix. It's nice.
So there's still a lot of younger people getting into the game and still enjoying your art. Maybe in a different way. Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it's nice when some people like the more recent stuff because you put more work into it.
But maybe it's because they grow up with those cards then. And that
and there's a lot of nostalgia too.
Exactly.
I'd like to have like something that sparks a memory with me to have signed. So
yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because for me that's a very strong nostalgic feeling when I think about your piece you did with Anson Maddox, the Multiverse piece.
Yeah, that was fun.
I love that piece, and I have it in my room, or had it in my room. Now it's here in the Netherlands, but I picked it up at my parents' place. Had it in my room for 30 years, and I was trying to figure out what these things are. And I know you have like 2 different. You're mostly on the left part of the painting,
I'm mostly on the left. I mean, there was a few things that crossed over, but I'm mostly on the left, and Anson's work is mostly on the right.
All right. Do you know you got these 2 guys with the spears? Do you know what these represent? I can put up the painting in the video itself.
I think there's like one exception. Like Anson there's a character holding like the head with like all the tentacles on it.
Yes, he called I think a Minotaur reanimator or something. He told me, but that was very interesting.
But there are some things that sort of refer to other cards, but otherwise it was improvised.
And the thing on top, I always imagined it as Cyclone from Arabian Nights.
It's the same thought. I mean, it is a sphere, but it has like the same texture.
Yeah, okay.
As a cyclone.
But in generally, it's more improvised, and
that one. We didn't have like a really specific description.
Okay.
We just knew that we were going to do a bunch of creatures here and a bunch of creatures here, and they were going to be battling somehow. So we just came up with whatever we thought of off the top of our heads.
Totally fantastic piece. I really love that one. You
thanks.
showed it off recently, right, in the US, like the big original.
Yeah.
Is it at your place or is it at Anson's place at the moment?
Oh, right now it's at Anson's. It was at my place for quite a while, but the last time we were in Utah for that event, he went ahead and he's holding on to it now.
Yes.
So
took it home.
We're trading. Like I'll have it for 25 years and he'll have it for 25 years.
That sounds like a fair trade.
Yeah.
If you look back, I don't know, where are we? At around like 10 minutes now?
9 minutes.
9 minutes. That's a good estimation then. No, if it's okay, I would be very curious about looking back at the old sets. Mm-hmm. My favorite set of all time is Antiquities. I was lucky enough to pick up your Antiquities artist proofs. I have, I think now 60 of the 90 Antiquities artist proofs, the complete set anyways, but I'm trying to complete an artist proof set. But you personally, looking back at these old sets, ABU, Antiquities, Arabian Nights, Was there a set in particular that you really enjoyed to work on that was very special to you?
The Urzalans were like nice. I mean, I remember like working on the first two, and they were sort of steam related, and then I did like the power poles which just had a lot of heat going through them, but I was kind of coming up with a blank like for the fourth one. I was like, what could have power and energy and could be mana, and I thought, oh, how about just a lightning bug? Just a glowing bug. And someone had the bright idea of like, tapping into like, a large glowing insect. So I thought, okay, there's energy there. It glows. It could be something mana related.
Okay, interesting. So Antiquity stands out a bit. Any particular cards that are your favorites? Because I often hear the story like, hey, this card meant a lot to me. Somehow I put a lot of my personal emotions or history in there. Is there any that stands out to you?
Well, there's one early one that stands out. I'm not sure if it was Antiquity's War, but Mindstab Thrill was different in the sense that it wasn't the best like painted card, but it was rare because it was. I rarely have like a clear view of like what I'm about to work on. Sometimes there's improvisation, and something just comes up.
Nice.
If I just keep working on it. But that one just kind of came out really quick, and it was very close to what I had the notion about, like, which is kind of rare for me.
Okay, so in a sense, that one was a bit clearer than the others.
Yeah.
Because, okay, interesting.
Sometimes it takes a while for me to find something like through sketches and just working on something. But that one I had a really clear notion. Okay. And it actually ended up looking like what I thought it was going to look like, which is, it was so I feel that early on that was probably one that stood out.
Oh, interesting, because if you finally find something that looks like you want it to look after you did it, I can imagine that's not a very common thing during a creative process, right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll just keep doing a sketch over and over and over until I find something that clicks. But sometimes you'll get one that clicks quickly, and you'll just go, oh, that's it. That's what I want, and I'm just going to go with it. Other ones you really have to sort of root around and explore and try to find a good idea that seems suitable to what your notion of what you think it should be.
I get it. There's a kind of special satisfaction in there then, because it came out the way you wanted to come out.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a fight to get to a good idea. Sometimes the idea just kind of comes through you.
Okay. Interesting. I always love that little insight into the creative process. I think looking at the fact that you guys are incredibly busy, that speaks a lot to how much. I mean, I always try to, for example, on my artist proofs, try to get a little sketch or whatever. Not possible here, of course, because of the busy day, but in general,
MagicCons have been
crazy.
It's almost impossible to have a moment.
I haven't been to one for in like 20 years. To me, it's a lot busier than it used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
No, but is it still possible to approach you and get like maybe a sketch or a commission or something via your website or anything?
Well, not at the website right now because the commissions are. I have a backup for work at home, but I am typically able to do stuff at the show.
Yes.
At the shows that I'm doing it. MagicCons have just been a little different because there are no pauses to actually take on some commissions. But other smaller events, and there's a lot of them. It's a lot easier just to do either black and white or some color sketches or alterations on the front or the back. But sometimes we'll have to just say, well, I'm only going to do 5 to 20 today, and then no more. But this one we can't even squeeze in one.
No.
It's a different sort of beast.
I think you guys, of course, sometimes come to Europe, but I think there hasn't been like a really big event in Europe since Barcelona.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fact that that's very far away for this part of Europe, if you're living in Germany or in the Netherlands or in the Scandinavian countries. So a lot of people just want to meet you, just want to get an autograph. You have been working on some other trading card games as well, like Vampire Battletech, right?
Yeah.
Do you? And there's a upcoming thing that people are going crazy about. It's called Sorcery trading card game. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah.
Have you been approached to do some art for Sorcery? Because
I have, but I wasn't able to work on some. But yeah, some of the other games are really interesting to look at. I missed out on Flesh and Blood, but that look I really enjoy some of the stuff that people have been working on.
Yeah, no, Flesh and Blood looks fantastic, and Sorcery looks even more awesome, at least in my personal opinion.
Because there's a lot of original artists.
A lot, really a lot, and the whole vibe is very nostalgic and old school as well. So that might be something to look into, and I would definitely be interested in your Sorcery
I'm really
cards.
rooting for those kind of games as well.
They are really big at the moment. Flesh and Blood has been going off like crazy.
Yeah.
Sorcery was, I think, for a while the biggest Kickstarter, and now has been putting out the beta set. So it's sold out everywhere over here in Europe. So it's crazy. No, but that might be something that's on your path in the future. You're open to these kind of things.
Always.
Always. That's very good to hear. I think for me it was a very nice conversation because I got to talk about some of the old cards and got some insights into that. I want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It was nice talking to you.
Definitely, I love the talk, and I wish you all the best during the show. The rest of the show.
Thanks
it's
again.
just Friday. So
it's only Friday.
You still have to go until Sunday.
We can make it to Sunday. We can do it. We can do it.
Right back home after that one, or are you still enjoying?
We're gonna actually go home fairly soon. We have 2 days to look at the city, but so far we haven't been able to.
I heard you are visiting the Rijksmuseum on Monday.
Of course.
I think that's a fantastic one because they got some wonderful pieces of art, and as an artist yourself, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't forget there is a Van Gogh museum as well.
Right.
Here in Amsterdam.
I don't think I've ever. I've been to the Rijksmuseum before. In the past, but I haven't been to the Van Gogh Museum.
It's fantastic as well. I can only advise you to go there if you have the time, and if the lines are not as long as the lines were on your booth today, because otherwise you have to wait for a while.
Otherwise my Monday will just be on my back going, oh my God, what happened?
Yes, indeed. And then you maybe miss your flight. No, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks, folks. As I always say, stay healthy, stay frosty, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.